As the cold light of dawn washes over Widow's Cove, two friends pull their beat-up car off a dirt road on the edge of the Ochup Forest. This hike has been long planned and often delayed, but with Kevin heading to the Art Institute in Amden and Sarah heading down to Caltech, it was now or never. Leaving the sanctuary of their car, breath misting in the open air, they each shoulder their packs and cross the short clearing to the tree line. Kevin pauses at the trailhead, brow furrowed, listening. He has no way of knowing what has awoken in these hills, but still, something doesn't feel right. Sarah presses a few steps deeper into the woods before turning and sighing, "Look, you know I hate exercise. If we're going to do this..." It is in this moment, attention drawn to each other, that they are overwhelmed. It doesn't take long for their broken bodies to be discovered. As the police and news crews descend upon the scene, the repeated headlines blast across every morning station and draw the notice of our hunters. A bizarre scene. 2 hikers found dead, bodies mauled, in an apparent bear attack, but the first sighting in over 20 years. Hello, and welcome to Lonely Roads. We're here to play Monster of the Week, a role-playing game by Michael Sands, which is based on the Powered by the Apocalypse system. This mystery, which we're playing today, is actually based on a free adventure called Grumpy Bear by Gulix. You can actually download it for free at DriveThruRPG. We'll put a link in the episode description. I highly recommend you check it out. It's a great starting adventure if you're like us and this is the first time you've played Monster of the Week, or even if you're just looking for something interesting. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. It covers a lot of groundwork for you. Well, with that said, I think maybe this is the time to go around and introduce ourselves and our characters. I'll start. My name is Chris. I will be your keeper, also known in other games as Game Master or Dungeon Master. I'll be the one who's running the NPCs and the things behind the scene. If anyone else would like to go next, feel free.
I'm Logan. I am playing Leopold Lloyd Easton, who is not at all heavily based on certain watchers from certain television shows. But he is a former cultist who ended up killing his cult and started hunting monsters based on that when he realized how horrible eldritch horrors are.
Excellent. It's a good thing to become aware of.
What? You mean monsters are bad? No, we're not. Shut up. Just because your monsters are evil.
I imagine you would have feelings about that. Do you want to go next?
Monsters.
Hashtag yes, all monsters.
Don't worry, honey. We're going to fix you.
Right. Fix me like I'm broken. So...
It's not your fault.
I am playing Julia. Jillian. Her name is Jillian, not Julia. Starting strong. I am Barbara. I am playing Jillian Rafferty, the monstrous character. Jillian is a vampire who travels around with her father, who's trying to avenge her dead mother. Jillian is in her mid to late 20s. She's fairly recently turned. And she also has a boyfriend. So I would say that the boyfriend or the father should go next.
Well, I'm playing Luther Rafferty. My name is Kevin, also known on the internet as Tasty Freeze. And I will be playing the father of Jillian Rafferty. And is it Jillian or Julia? Jillian. I thought
It
so.
is Jillian.
I know my daughter's name. I didn't forget my. Well, she is
I
my
mean,
little.
it's not like I keep saying it wrong or
Well,
anything.
it's not my fault. I call her my little jewel. But that said, I don't approve of her fling of a relationship with the delinquent. But that said, I am not a supernatural in any way. However, my wife and daughter were taken from me by a hideous monster, and I patrol the world now. And
Still here.
but we're gonna fix you, honey.
Still right here.
We're gonna fix you, honey. And I'm looking for answers and right and wrongs.
Hi, I'm Pez. I'm playing Christopher Ortega. Wow, words. Christopher Ortega. The spooky. Little bit psychic, little bit more psychic, little bit lot of psychic. And currently dating a monster named Julia.
Jillian. Shh, it's fine.
It's going to be a thing, isn't it?
Probably.
Apparently.
We're just going to call you JJ from now on. It's fine.
Your middle name should be Julie.
Sure. Done. It's going on the sheet.
Going in my log.
Excellent. Okay. So we have our team. So this is our first session and our first mystery. So you guys have some tenuous ties to each other, but this will be kind of our first time out.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know that we established that Mr. Rafferty has a motorcycle, I think?
I thought it was a truck.
No, it was a decked out truck.
Okay, yeah, we went with the decked out truck. I'm like, if you have a motorcycle, can I have a motorcycle?
Yeah, that's so you didn't have to ride bitch.
Yeah, it would be weird to ride bitch with my dad.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want a motorcycle, if you think that makes sense for Jillian to have one, that's okay. But I think with the truck, it would accommodate you both. But that's really up to you.
I want a motorcycle.
That's fine. I'm gonna ride around in my truck. It's where I keep all my tools of the trade.
Okay. It is so.
I am secure in my masculinity. I will ride bitch on my girlfriend's motorcycle.
It's okay. You ride bitch on your vampire girlfriend's bike.
Well, it is quite understandable you would trust her reflexes more.
Any other rules you would like to lay down?
I think the main thing here is this is the first time we've all played this game, and it, from what I've listened to and what I've read, it definitely seems like there's going to be a lot of moments where we'll either be talking to one or two or maybe three members, especially if we split up, if that happens. So I'd say help me try to balance the scenes. For sure, I don't want it to be like 30 minutes of just one person, and we can jump back and forth. So if I get to this point where I'm just talking to one person, please just let me know.
Yeah,
Sure
not
thing.
a problem.
Okay, well, that's the only thing that comes to mind. I will say we talked about it earlier, but I am blatantly stealing a custom move from another Monster of the Week podcast called Forgotten Places, where if you are using your cellular device, you're going to roll half your luck added to your standard roll to see if it works, and that could be interesting. But I think that's really it. This will be a fun learning experience for all of us. So, as stated, all of you have heard of this news report. It is in Widow's Cove, which is a town about 45 minutes east of you along the coastline. So I guess the first question I have is, among the group of you, who would start reaching out to the others?
Probably me. I'm a bit more of the organizer and researcher than to dive in without backup.
Yeah,
So
Jillian and I are kind of brute squad.
Yeah.
I'd probably reach out to Old Man Rafferty, considering he's actually an adult who I can trust. rather
I
than
love that you've become Old Man Rafferty.
I'm Old Man Rafferty. Do you have a doctorate?
me. I have like 2 doctorates.
Okay, so I'll call you Dr. Leopold.
If you'd like, sure. Have you seen this article about the bear attack?
He takes the paper and he like kind of gives it the furrowed brow study with darkened eyes and a serious demeanor, and he just kind of grunts a few times before passing it to Jillian.
A bear? That's.
No bear
Can't be.
did this.
Are there any pictures or anything in the newspapers?
I think that this is a very recent event. It essentially just happened this morning, and it was rushed. So at this point, there is headlines, but no images.
We can go check it out. I mean,
In the worst case, I eat myself a bear.
I still have my press badge.
Where did you get your press badge?
It's either not real, or alternatively, I was a journalism major before I was turned.
Okay, I like that. I'd say figure out which one of those it is, because for sure that's going to have implications.
Jillian's not very smart. She's. I'm gonna say that it's just her past from when she was trying to be a journalist.
All right.
No longer technically valid.
No longer technically. Well, those things kind of stop being valid when you technically die.
Heartbeat required.
My daughter ain't dead.
Yes, well. In any case, we should get moving.
Yep. Wouldn't want any other hikers to fall the same fate. I'll go pack up the truck. You coming?
Be right there. She flips open her phone and starts calling her boyfriend.
I'm just going to go grab a few reference tomes from my library.
Yeah, sure. I'll be in the truck when you're ready. I will go pack up the truck. I will put in my chainsaw, my shotgun, and other accoutrement.
Excellent.
I answer the ringing phone.
Oh, I was just thinking really hard, expecting you to hear.
Oh. Well, that might actually work. Depends on how close you are.
They both happen.
So, do you know what's going on yet?
The college team lost again?
No.
Oh, really?
Some
Wow.
hikers were killed by a, quote, bear, unquote. Gonna go check it out.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Great, I'll pick you up on the way.
Okay.
Okay. So, Leopold, are you riding in the truck then? And am I to take it that Jillian and Christopher are taking the motorcycle?
Jillian plans on taking her motorcycle.
Yeah, Leopold will be riding in the truck with a duffel bag full of books and a duffel bag full of weapons.
Okay.
And a duffel bag full of duffel bags, just in case.
Well, no, he does keep extra bags just in case.
When you get to the truck, you'll find that he has taken the liberty of getting a fill up in gas and offers you a cup of coffee.
Oh, coffee. Yes, thank you. He takes it and proceeds to politely not drink it while making it not quite obvious he's not drinking it.
Mm-hmm. He, meanwhile, downs his cup of, or his travel mug of black coffee.
Your 20-ounce mug.
Yeah, those big Yeti cups.
Okay. So with that, you all set out, and it's, as previously stated, Widow's Cove is about 45 minutes east of you. You hop on the interstate and then drop off on the highway, and before you know it, you are coming up on Widow's Cove. So as you turn onto the ramp, you see there is a billboard and on it has a very stylized image of it looks like a wooden cabin almost, but much, much larger. And you see it has the words Horizon Lodge coming soon. Entering the town proper, it's not a big town. It's probably a population of around 5,000 or so. So it's got people in it, but it's as you're driving through, like you see there's a diner, there's town hall, which appears to have like almost like a temporary building bolted to it, which there's a sign proclaiming that it's the local history museum as well. But that's really about it. There's not a lot to this place. So where are you guys trying to go first?
Well, first is probably a good idea to try to check out the crime scene. What time of day is it?
Well, I'd say that the news probably hit early in the morning, around 7 or so. How soon do you think you guys reacted to all this?
Well, we travel by night, so...
Yeah. Being a vampire does that.
Are you weak to sunlight?
There doesn't say anything game-wise, but I'm a vampire. At the very least, I don't like it, even if it doesn't hurt me.
Sure, it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this like a next day kind of thing?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, well then I suppose that you can choose when you arrive.
Probably early twilight, long enough to get a room at some dive inn.
In town, near town.
Okay, so you're wanting to go to like a motel first?
Yeah, just to get like some no-tell motel where they don't ask a lot of questions.
Everybody
Okay.
needs a base camp.
Yeah, that's very true. So as you're going through town, you do see that there is a small motel off to kind of like when you're first coming into town, and it's actually just called Widow's Cove Motel. The parking lot is actually surprisingly full. Like it's not a large establishment. It's like a single level, probably 10 to 15 rooms, but the parking lot is near full.
Do they have 2 rooms available?
So going into the main office, you see there is a woman probably in her 30s. She's a little on the plump side, but greets you with a smile and says, oh, welcome. I'm afraid that currently, unless you're with the investors group, we don't have any rooms available. Are you with the investors group?
Do I look like an investor?
Well, I'm not here to judge, but I find it's always better to ask. I am sorry. You can always camp, though I suppose with what's gone on, it's maybe not the best idea.
You don't have any room.
I'm afraid not. It's all booked up. Mayor's order.
Wait, investors? What are they? Do you have any idea what they're investing in?
Well, I mean, yeah, and she holds up like a little pamphlet of paper. It says here that it's all for the Horizon Lodge project up out in the Ochup Woods. I mean, personally, I don't know that I'd be wanting to go out there to see a construction site or anything with murderous bears running rampant, but I guess I'm not a person with a lot of money either, so who knows?
I'm going to reach out and delicately take the pamphlet.
Yeah, she doesn't stop you.
No, she would pull back a little bit. I'm sorry, this has guest information, and I can't allow you to see it. There are rules.
Oh, I was considering investing, but if you're not willing to share the information, I'm not sure how I can help the town. I'm actually going to try to do a charm roll, if that's possible, to try to charm her.
So if you want to roll manipulate someone, that is plus charm. Go ahead.
Okay.
And so the way this works is you give them a reason and tell them what they want you to do. The reason you've given is you want to invest in the project, and what you want them to do is give you this list of names.
Oh, well, Doctor, you did mention, Doctor, that you were planning on looking for a new project. Hey, I'd like to use help out.
Yeah. I'd say go ahead and roll plus cool. Okay, so for help out, we got an 8, which is a success. So Leopold, you'll take +1.
So that gets me an 8.
Yep. But you are also, Jillian, you are exposing yourself to trouble or danger. Leopold, 8. You also got an 8 for manipulate someone. They'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show you mean it. If you ask too much, they'll tell you what, if anything, it would take for them to do it. So I think for the manipulate someone, she'll do it, but you have to show her you're willing to invest right now. That's kind of the stakes about what it will happen, what it will take.
Well, luckily, with preparedness, maybe I have something that'll show that I am actually an able investor. So let me roll plus sharp to use my move.
Okay.
On a 10 plus, I have it right here and now. 7 and 9, I have it, but not here. And it'll take some time to get it. So basically, the item I'm thinking of would be some kind of portfolio investment, something to prove I would be a good investor.
Sure.
So
Go for it.
Nope, Chuck Testa.
Okay, so that's a 5. So go ahead and mark experience. So what does it say in that move for rolling a 6 or less?
On a miss, you know where it is, but it's somewhere really bad.
Okay, so I'm going to say that for sure you've got investments and you've got some portfolio that you could expose, but trying to think about where you've placed it, it comes to mind that for some reason, you were tied up in this kind of eldritch cult. Your paperwork is back wherever that base of operations was. You cleaned out house, but apparently you left in a bit of a hurry.
Oh no, I seem... Well then, I'm going to choose to fail the manipulate roll then, because I am not going back to England and digging up in a cult backyard to deal with that banking problem.
Sure. Okay, so we're choosing to fail the manipulate someone. However, with the help out, we do have trouble or danger. I think the trouble here is with you kind of putting on airs and Jillian kind of very clearly hamming it up. She kind of raises an eyebrow at the both of you and she says, "Look, I can't give you this list, and honestly, I don't know what I could do to help you invest in the first place. This is confidential information. We don't have any rooms. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. I don't want any trouble."
I understand. Sorry. Could you at least tell us where the nearest campgrounds are?
Sure. So there's a couple campsites out in the Ochup National Forest. There's a campground a little bit north of it. And then if you want, there's also a campground out at Widow's Cove, which is north of town. I suppose it depends if you want a lake view or not.
Which one has the lake view?
That's Widow's Cove.
Great, thanks. Really appreciate it.
It looks like we're camping.
Yes, well, I do. He straightens his very fancy coat. Enjoy roughing it every so often.
Jillian just rolls her eyes.
Okay, so with the motel not being an option, and I will clarify that Widow's Cove is not where the murder, quote unquote, the bear attack happened. That was in the national forest, the Ochup Forest. So that is an option if you want to camp out there. The cove is a separate location. But what would you like to do now?
Best make camp in the by the cove.
Well, shouldn't we go investigate? Don't you want to see what caused it?
I do, but I also want a place where we can go back to should we need to.
I see on the map there's a town hall and history museum. Is that like something we passed on the way through town?
Yeah, I'd say you saw it.
Once we're established, I'd like to take a look at the local museum. Perhaps there's some local lore on what this might be.
All right.
Makes sense.
If you'd all rather investigate in person, we could easily split our resources and gain better information that way.
Well, much as I always look forward to a good scrap with some supernatural what has got it in for him, I'd much prefer that you little ducklings have somewhere to go back to should you need to come back to the pond. So I'll set up camp and keep watch over that while you guys go take a look around.
So here's what I'm thinking. Since it's, nighttime, why don't the doctor and dad set up base camp and make sure nobody steals our shit? And the other two of us, the rest of us, can go see if we can see anything at the crime scene.
All right, Jewel, you take care of yourself out there. Hey, little man, can I have a word with you for a second?
This was coming.
You knew this was coming.
Yes, sir.
Play nice.
So I'm gonna take him away, Christopher, away from the group just a little bit.
And he was never seen again.
Have you ever seen a bear rip a man's arm off and beat him to death with him?
No, I have
All right.
not.
So I'm putting the trust of my perfect daughter in your hands. Understand that if any harm comes to her, I'm going to put my chainsaw in you, and I'm going to keep revving it till I'm out of gas. We clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now you act like a perfect gentleman, and you have her home by 7 a.m.
Yes, sir.
7 a.m.
If I got to find you, you won't like what happens when I do.
Well, not to be sassy, but if you gotta find us, I don't think anyone's gonna like what happened to get to that point.
That's what I wanted to hear. Now you go have yourselves a good time and behave like a gentleman.
Of course.
And he'll let you go, and he'll look to Dr. Leopold and be like, "All right, Doc, let's get camp set up."
Yes, of course.
Okay, so we are splitting the party, as they say. Leopold and Luther are heading to the campsite at Widow's Cove, and Jillian and Christopher, where are you going?
We are going to check out the crime scene where they were attacked.
Because we are highly intelligent individuals.
And it's also, the middle of the night, so it's not likely the cops will still be there.
Okay. So let's start with Jillian and Christopher. You hop on Jillian's motorcycle and you head south through town. And it's a quick ride, probably 10 minutes all told. And you find yourself at the edge of the woods. You pass a ranger station, which is lit up in the night. It's a single structure. It has lights, like floodlights, surrounding it. You see there's a large wooden sign that says Ochup Ranger Station. And there's actually like a very tall totem sitting in front of the structure. But as you drive by, you continue down the highway until you find what appears to be a crime scene. There is a car pulled to the side of the road. It's a beat-up hatchback. Looks like a late model Subaru. Definitely seen better days. It's taped off with like crime scene tape, do not cross, that kind of thing. And then further up, probably about 80 to 100 feet, you can see there is additional tape kind of strung about, and you do see actually there is a lone figure kind of standing there, keeping watch. What would you like to do?
Huh. They're keeping watch on the road.
The figure is not. You can see that it's a man. He's probably in his late 60s or so. He's not like watching the road. He's more just, his back is to the road. He's looking at the crime scene. He's shining a flashlight into it, kind of just examining it.
Well, not a little bit away so that it's not really obvious. I'm gonna pull the bike off to the side and kill the engine.
Okay. Is the intention to be far enough away so he doesn't hear you coming? Because I
Yes.
can't imagine that your bike is quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, so your bike is a fair ways away.
I trust my physical capabilities to get back to it.
Well, at least one of us does.
She looks over at you. Keep your eyes open. She points at your head. She puts one finger right in the middle of your forehead. And then holds the finger up to her lips, and she's going to start creeping forward.
You begin creeping. What's your intention here? What are you trying to do?
I want to get closer to him and see, does this look like a police officer?
Yeah, I'd say you're able, especially given your supernatural nature and the fact that it's night, which is for sure your jam. You're both able to get close enough, probably a couple 100 feet, where you can see that in fact, yeah, this person, he's wearing what looks to be kind of a rumpled, like a police officer's uniform. It's a brown color, so you figure he's probably with the local police. He's got like a big bushy mustache, and he's kind of going bald up top, and he's just kind of quietly regarding the scene, moving his flashlight over. Like there's some scrapes in the earth, and definitely some dark stains that you would definitely take to be blood.
You think you can get him to go sleep in his car or something?
I can try.
I believe in you.
I'm going to attempt to use telepathy to manipulate him and give him a suggestion.
Okay, so two questions there. How do you do this? Is it you just sit there concentrating, or do you have to talk to them? How does your telepathy work?
It's more of a meditative thing. Like sit down, focus on it.
Okay, so you're sitting down and concentrating. What are you suggesting to him?
I'm suggesting that it is too late for him to see anything, and he should come back when there's light out.
Okay, that works for me. Is your telepathy, is that using magic, or is that actually just manipulate someone?
Yeah, let me
Psychic?
paste it in. It is literally just one of my moves. It just says can manipulate someone from not talking and range.
Okay, yeah, that sounds definitely just like a straight manipulate someone. So go ahead and roll plus charm, unless you've got something which changes that.
Nope.
Okay, that's it then.
Nice.
That is a 10. So on a 10, they'll do it for the reason you've given them, which is it's too late. If you've asked too much, they'll tell you the minimum it would take for them to do it. But a 10 is a success. You get what you want. So you see the lone figure. He kind of takes a moment and kind of stands up and stretches, and you hear his back crack. And he kind of rolls his head and then turns and walks towards the road. He is leaving the crime scene.
Awesome. Once he's, driven off, I'm going to check out this damn crime scene.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you wait a moment and you hear the telltale sound of an engine starting, and the car drives away. I think at this point, let's jump over to Leopold and Luther.
Yeah. Team Mundane.
Yeah, mundane.
Oh, okay, that's just me.
All right, so you make your way to Widow's Cove, and you find that the campground is pretty nice. It's definitely kind of one of those manicured. You pay for a spot, and like there's 10 little numbered campground sites. And as you're approaching the camp, it's mostly empty, but you do see that there is a group of teens who have set up 3 tents and have a campfire going. What would you like to do?
Dr. Leopold, can you obtain the campsite? I'm going to go see if these kids know what's going on.
Yes, of course.
All right.
I suppose I'll start dragging the equipment out of the bed of the truck.
Okay.
No. You ain't got to carry all the heavy stuff. Just go get us a spot.
Oh.
Or
Don't you just pick a spot?
Sorta. You gotta just come with me. It's all right. So Dad Squad is gonna. I'm gonna grab a 6-pack of beer and I'm gonna go talk me some kids.
Okay. So
That sounds so wrong.
Okay. 6-pack in hand. You two approach the campsite, and you can see that it's a group of 4, and they're kind of quietly talking and laughing. And as you get closer, you can actually see that they are all wearing very dark clothing, black lipstick, black painted nails. It's a group of goths. And as you draw close, they all get quiet and look in your direction. One of the boys, who's probably like maybe 18, pipes up and he says, "Can I help you?"
Oh yeah. Me and the doctor here, we were gonna do some hunting tomorrow, and I just new to the area, thought one of you boys could help me get the lay of the land.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not from here. We just came out to the cove for the full moon, but I mean, I assume you can hunt if you've got a license or something.
Oh, yeah, you from here? Came out for the full moon over the cove, huh?
Yeah. They say if you come out here and it's the full moon, there's all kinds of like, I don't know, spirits or magic. Like it's supposed to be an experience, you know. Yeah, you should check it out.
You know that's as much hogwash as I do. But that's all right. We all believe in spooky ghost stories.
No, man, you gotta just like open yourself up to the experience. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah. Have you experienced anything yourself?
Well, there was this one time, and at this point, someone else in the camp will be, "Shut up, Luke. You don't know what you're talking about."
No, you let Luke talk. He experienced it. I want to hear it.
Yeah, man. Well, look, there was this one time where we heard about this house, right? And we went to check it out, and it's the same kind of thing. Like you know that like if there's gonna be like some supernatural stuff, it's gonna happen around the full moon, right? Well, we went out to this house, and it was abandoned like 50 years ago or something like that, and we saw a ghost. Well, I mean, we didn't see a ghost, but there was this vase, and it got knocked to the ground, and it broke, and there was no one there. I mean, there wasn't anyone there but us, and it was like in the next room, but it totally moved itself. It did.
All right. He cracks open one of the beers, and he's like, "Anybody else got a good ghost story?"
There's the rest of them kind of like are rolling their eyes, and no one speaks up.
He holds the 6-pack by the empty ring, and he just kind of like, "You sure ain't nobody else got a good ghost story?"
They kind of look at each other. This to me feels like a manipulate someone. So go ahead and roll plus charm.
Yeah, let's talk about how I'm not good at that.
Let's talk about how, God damn it, they're a bunch of fucking like wannabe Wiccans.
A 7. So on a 7, they'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show you mean it. So I guess we need to establish what the terms are, right? So you're giving them a reason, which is you'll give them beer if they will tell you a ghost story. So they'll do it for you, but only if you show that you mean it. So I think there's a girl who's kind of sitting next to Luke. She stands up and she walks over to you and she holds out her hand.
Beers up front.
I'm gonna look her dead in the face. I'm gonna crack one off of the 6-pack. I'm gonna toss it to Luke.
He catches it, cracks it, immediately starts drinking it, giving thumbs up all around.
You want a ghost story? You want a beer? You gotta give me a ghost story.
She sighs. Fine. Look, Luke is full of shit. I'll give you that. But he's not wrong. This place has a history. They say that there's been more than one cruel death. These parts, I guess back in the 1800s, I don't really know. There was a fair share of bad stuff, and they do say that if you come out to the cove during the full moon, the spirits of this place become active. And I don't necessarily believe, but I think it's worth a shot.
So let's say these here spirits, and he tosses her one of the beers. Let's say one of these here spirits, you're right. What do you get out of it?
I don't know. We've never done it. That's what we're here to find out, right?
He'll look back at Dr. Leopold.
Well, I think I have a thirst. So I suppose it's my turn, isn't it?
Hey, you want a beer? You gotta give a ghost story.
So I have a goal here, and I'm sure this is going to be a manipulate someone, but I'd like to do a non-standard roll.
Okay.
I'm trying to scare these goths straight, get them stopped looking for monsters. So I'm going to tell them about some Eldritch horrors.
Okay.
So I'd like to use weird instead of charm.
How do I assist?
So you could do a help out.
I don't think you can use weird instead of charm, just because there is a specific move for the monstrous thing that lets you use your weird instead of your charm.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think you can totally try to scare these kids off, and I think Luther can help you do it. But it is going to be a plus charm.
Then I have an alternate ask. Can I make it a dark past roll using my expert move? If you trawl through your memories for something relevant to the case at hand, roll plus weird on a 10 plus. That's to keep it 2 questions. Oh no, wait, that's just 2 questions. Damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just stick with charm then.
Okay, go ahead and roll plus charm.
How do I help?
So to help out, go ahead and roll plus cool.
Yeah, I'm not cool either.
Okay, so that's a 6, which is a failure. So Luther, go ahead and mark experience. So on a 6, you expose yourself to trouble or danger, and I'd say go ahead and roll to manipulate someone, Leopold.
So that's a 7.
It's a 7. So on a 7, they'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show you mean it. And if you ask too much, they'll tell you what, if anything, would take for them to do it. Okay, so what are you telling these kids about?
I'm telling them about a lesser eldritch horror that eats people's brains. If you learn the mystery of what it is, and that's its way to take over your body and get into the real world.
Okay. And so as you're kind of recounting this tale, Luther, what are you doing to help out?
Chiming in about shit I don't know.
Okay.
Making scary noises.
Yeah, it's maggot shaped.
No, it's not. It's a glowing bit of energy.
Which is also maggot shaped.
So as you're saying this story, there's some of it which definitely is pretty fucked up, and it seems to be making half the group uncomfortable. But you haven't quite sold them on it. So, what are you going to do essentially to prove to them right now that you mean it?
Kill one of the teenagers.
No,
No,
evil
no.
voice in my head. That's not what I should do. I mean, what?
That's my job.
I could do a little magic trick. Use some real magic to scare them away from the stuff that'll kill them.
Sure, you could definitely use magic. That would be rolling plus weird. What effect are you wanting to do? You can inflict harm, enchant a weapon, do one thing beyond human limitations, bar a place or portal to a specific person or type of creature, trap a specific person, banish a spirit or curse from a person or object, summon a monster into the world, communicate with something that you do not share a language with, observe another place or time, or heal one harm from an injury.
Give me a moment to double check that. And
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot.
where's the list of the moves again in the book?
Let's see. So,
Oh wait, here we are. I found the actual full details of them rather than the short list.
perfect.
So here we go.
Aren't rules fun?
New system.
Ooh, problem was use magic. I could summon one of these things, but then I'd have to do another roll to banish it.
Yeah,
That could get hairy. I mean, you totally can.
you have the knowledge to, but
Oh, observe
Is it a
another place or
good
time.
idea?
That's what. I'll open a scrying portal to when one of these things tried to eat me.
Okay, sure. So it's not that like you are remote viewing a place. You are like doing like a reflection on the water or some kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like in the flames.
Yeah, that totally. I dig that imagery. Okay, so go ahead and roll plus weird.
Okay.
I am not helping.
There we go. That's an
Okay.
11.
On a 10 plus, the magic works without issues. Okay, so as you are telling this story, and they're kind of hot and cold on it, what do you do in order to cast your magic?
I'm going to take a couple of vials as I'm talking, pop corks off, pour powders into my hand, make hand motions over them, and then throw it into the fire violently right at the crescendo of my story.
Okay. Yeah, as you throw the vial in the fire, it kind of whooshes up, and in it is this kind of unspeakable horror that they all view straight on, and you see their eyes grow wide and they grow stiff with fright. And as the image fades, they kind of look to you and look to the fire and look to one another. And without a word, they immediately stand up and start packing their camp. And I think to resolve the failed roll, as they are throwing things into their car, the girl just walks up to you, Luther, and grabs the beer out of your hands and throws it in the car.
That's fine. She earned it.
Okay, so you have successfully scared off the teens. They are on the straight and narrow.
damn it, that's my food source. Stop that.
What would you guys like to do now?
Set up camp in a different spot.
Okay.
I'll carry the heavy. I'll do most of the work.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need to get into the nitty gritty here. I think you guys can acquire a campsite and set up a base of operations. What is the next thing you would like to do?
My goal is to do a little research on local legends, not from unreliable sources like a bunch of teenagers who are out to get murdered in the woods.
Okay, so I know you mentioned going to the town hall and history museum.
Mhm.
Is that a reasonable goal?
That's my plan right now. It seems like a good spot.
Okay, so Leopold, are you heading with him?
I'm Leopold.
Yeah.
Leopold, sorry, Luther.
Do you need me to go with you, Doc?
Wouldn't it be closed this
Better
time?
not
then?
to isolate any of us.
All right.
Oh,
I'll
things
go
are
with,
close to people without lockpicks, my boy. I mean, what?
yeah, I'll go with Dr. Leopold.
Okay. So you pile in the beat. Man, where's it hard?
It's a beat up pickup.
Oh, before we go, I would like to use magic to ward our campsite.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead and roll plus weird. And what are you warding it against?
Entry by anyone until we get back.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that is a 10. That is a success. It works as you desired it to. So with the campsite warded, you head into town, and let's jump back to Jillian and Christopher. You have successfully routed the sheriff from the crime scene. What are you guys doing?
I'm investigating the crap out of this crime scene.
Word.
So as you approach the police tape and duck under it, you can see that there's no bodies here. It's been long enough that I think they've packed
They're
them up.
probably in a morgue.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. But looking at the site itself, it is something where the ground is really soft. Like, you get the impression that it probably rained pretty recently, so there's several footprints you can see of people who have come and gone, but you don't see like any bear tracks. And the ground itself is definitely stained with blood. Like, there is not like a pool of blood, but there's definitely, like, you can smell it.
Oh, that's blood.
Yeah, especially you, Jillian. Like, you are very aware that this was pretty grisly, if you'll excuse the phrasing.
It tore them apart. But I don't see any bear tracks. Chalk that up to the possible creepy column.
I mean,
So, the blood. It looks like somebody went all Jackson Pollock on these people.
Yeah. It definitely, like, it's everywhere. It is mostly contained to the area, like, within the tape. Like, they did a pretty good job of roping it off. But it is not a small contained mess.
I'm gonna start searching around the edges and see if there's if I can pick up any scent anywhere else that maybe the blood is trailed to outside of the crime scene.
Okay, so I think the best move here would be investigate a mystery. So go ahead and roll plus sharp. That is a 9. So on a 7 to 9, hold 1. One hold can be spent to ask the keeper one of the following questions: what happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? And what is being concealed here? And obviously, looking at the crime scene, you're not going to know some things. It's only if it would make sense in the situation.
Where did it go?
Okay, and how do you think you would figure that out? Like, what are you using to detect?
This was clearly either a creature or an animal that would have had a lot of blood on it. You don't make this much of a mess and not get it on you.
Okay, that makes sense. So I think that just using your vampiric nature, you kind of just concentrate on the scent of the blood, and you detect that it went south, deeper into the woods.
So Jillian kind of wanders into the middle of the crime scene, shuts her eyes, and takes a deep breath, taking in her surroundings. She takes a couple of breaths, then her eyes snap open. She goes, "This way."
And Christopher, what are you doing this entire time?
I am using the site to see if there are anything special around spirits, magical resonance, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'd say go ahead and roll investigate a mystery. So plus sharp.
Whatcha?
That is a 7, so you can hold 1. I'll say as you, I'd say let's choose your question. What happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go?
What kind of creature is it?
Okay, so that's a good question. So what do you do to, and forgive me if I'm asking just a ton of questions, that's how this works.
No,
when
it's
you
fine.
are using your sight, is it the same kind of like dropping into a meditative trance, or is it something different?
It's different. It's basically just like passive true sight, almost. Like you
Okay.
just see that was for the background of design. That was like his innate power, and all the other stuff is stuff he's earned over time or taught himself.
Okay. So as you use your sight, you definitely can see and feel the presence of a very, very angry spirit. And kind of honing in on this, you are able to figure out that this wasn't like a flesh and blood creature. This was definitely like a very angry ghost. And it's crazy because as you're feeling this, the amount of like malevolence and anger coming off of this far exceeds anything you've ever felt before.
Oh,
What would you guys like to do now?
go back to the hotel.
What'd you get?
It's some kind of very, 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 very angry ghost. Like your dad.
My dad isn't a ghost.
Not yet. Eventually.
You're probably right about that.
Let's head back. Being around this much blood is making me really hungry.
I don't argue.
Okay, so you guys are wanting to go back to the campsite?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up dropping him back at the camp so that I can go
Do the
get
naughty.
dinner.
Okay, that works. So you guys start heading back to the campsite. Let's jump back to Leopold and Luther. You roll up on the town hall. The town hall itself is a brick building. It is 2-story. You can see there's a large clock set in the top. At this point, it's probably like, let's say like 9 o'clock. It is well and truly like past dusk. It is dark now. However, you see that there are lights on within, and on the door there are hours, and they close at 10.
Well then, let's go inside and investigate.
Okay, so going inside, you enter like a central kind of like area. There is a set of stairs that are leading up in the back. There's a sign which indicates that there's a courthouse above. To the left, you see there is like a desk, and there's another sign indicating that this is where you get like your titles, your deeds, just kind of basic city work. There is a young man standing behind it in his early 20s. He's kind of mousy looking. He's got glasses on, curly hair. He smiles at you as you enter. To the right, there is a door which leads to kind of that temporary looking building, which has a sign indicating that it's a museum. And you can actually see that on the long desk where the gentleman is standing, there's a row of pamphlets. And you can actually see that one of them says, don't worry about me, I'm not looking at notes.
What are notes?
So you see that there is a pamphlet which actually says, that has a date saying that this is the free opening weekend of the Museum of Circus History, or Circus in the History of Circuses in Widow Cove. That's how those words go together.
I like the idea that it's just crossed out twice.
Yeah, they're like printed off like in black and white and folded by hand.
Yeah. I'll take a pamphlet.
Okay. The guy behind the desk says, well, you guys are kind of coming in at the tail end here, but if you want to see the exhibits, there's a little bit of time left. Are you guys looking to move into town, or you're not here to gawk at all that awful business that happened yesterday, are you?
No, we're simply passing through. We were hoping to get a room at the motel, but it was a bit full up.
Oh, yeah.
Road trip, you know.
I'll lean on the desk because I'm massive and I don't want to be too intimidating for him, and just be like, well, boy, I've been on the road a long time. I'm just looking to see some local attractions. Ain't nothing warms his heart more than museums, and he looks down at the circus pamphlet. Circus attractions.
Oh, well, you certainly come to the right spot then. Our town is full of a rich and storied history. They do say Widow's Cove is growing, and he says that with like a very practiced air.
Well, I'll tell you, I was over in Minnesota, and I saw the world's largest ball of yarn. And then I was down in Iowa, and they had the world's biggest potato. And then I went all the way to Savannah, Georgia, and they said they got the best ghost stories, in the whole country.
He's definitely nodding along at this. He's like, and he takes out, like, you can see he's writing something on a pad of paper. World's biggest ball of yarn. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I wanna add Widow. What's the place called? Widow's Peak.
Widow's Cove.
Widow's Cove. I want to add Widow's Cove to my list of things I recommend to people when I tell them, like yourself, about the greatest ball of yarn. What's your city got? Has it got a big ball of yarn, big old potato, cool ghost story?
I mean, you can see the exhibits, but I mean, we've got a big cage.
A big cage, you say?
Yeah. I mean, it's from the old circus that used to pass through here. They used to keep a big old brown bear in it. I think his name was Bojo, something like that. You'd think I'd know this. I've walked by that exhibit 1,000 times, but they came through, and I don't know. I guess we kept it.
Well, all right. And I know you got places to be tonight. I'm sure you got a pretty little something for you waiting on a nice date. I'm gonna slide him like a 20 over. I'm like, I know we're coming into the last minute. We're just gonna take a couple extra minutes. You can close around us. It'll be fine. We're just gonna take a look around.
He blinks at you. Thanks. And he pockets the money, kind of clearly confused. I don't think it's normal to tip people who are like counter staff, but
No.
he's not going to argue with you.
Oh, that's not a tip. That's a bribe.
Yeah, that's a don't kick me out at 10 o'clock on the dot.
I
that's a
see.
Let me linger.
I misunderstood. That to me sounds like it manipulates someone. So the stakes here, since we haven't been good about declaring these, but the reason you're giving them is you're giving them cash, and what you want them to do is let you linger. So go ahead and roll plus charm.
My greatest stat.
Yeah, you're real good at this, I can tell. That is a 5. So go ahead and mark experience. So as you are pulling out this $20 bill, and right as you place it on the counter and slide it over to this guy, you see a woman come down the stairs, and she's wearing kind of like a pantsuit. It's nice. She's got like slacks and an overcoat on, and she has longer hair. She's got like a nice face. Not a nice face. She's a friendly face. And she's like, as soon as she comes down the stairs and sees you, she smiles, sees the money, and immediately that evaporates. And she says, "So, what's going on here, Marcus?" as she looks at you all, and Marcus kind of stammers and looks at you two and looks at her, and she says, "Well, Mayor, it's they were making a donation, right? What are you?"
we were just trying to see the local exhibits, and I didn't knew here that it were free, and so I was just giving Marcus here a little bit of money for the town, maybe compensate somebody for letting us come in so late.
She kind of gives you a curt nod. She says, "Well, I mean, we always accept donations to the museum. It's a new attraction, but as they say, Widow's Cove is always growing, and so your contributions are most appreciated." And she looks at her watch and she says, "Well, I am afraid that we can't allow you to stay beyond the time. There are places to go and people to see, but you're welcome to stay until we're closed."
Well, we'll just have to do what we can with what we got, ain't that right, Doc?
Seems reasonable. Well, let's go see that cage. That sounded like an interesting bit of local flavor.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go be a tourist, a 6'6", 300+ pound tourist.
Made of solid muscle.
But yes, going into the museum proper, and I guess I didn't ask Leopold, what were you doing that entire time? Were you part of that exchange?
I was just kind of peeking around and trying to stay out of the way.
Okay, fair enough.
So, like the museum's in a completely separate wing, right?
It's not so much a wing as there was a door which once led outside, and now it leads into like this kind of mobile unit almost. It's like a double wide.
I'll probably start poking around that then, but not getting too far away.
Sure. So as you are poking around, and eventually Luther, you will come and join him. There's not a whole lot on display here. There's several photographs of both like past notable figures, including like mayors and people of the Haida tribe who passed through this region. But definitely the centerpiece is towards the back against a wall. There is what looks to be like a large iron cage. It's kind of roughly welded together. It's pretty dang old. You can see just looking at it. In front of the cage is a plaque. It is titled "A Tortured Past." There are 2 photos at the top and a handful of paragraphs below those. The photo on the left is of a very large brown bear, and next to him is like a man in an old-timey outfit. The bear doesn't look like it's in great condition. You get the impression it wasn't well cared for. The photo on the right has what looks like a mugshot. A sallow, sunken-eyed man stands staring into the camera. He also doesn't look like he's in great condition. His face is swelling in a few places, and there's blood smeared across it. The text below it speaks about Bojo, a traveling circus bear, and Frank Kraft, a wanted criminal. It goes on to say how in 1884, after a performance in Widow's Cove, Bojo became enraged. He was beaten by his master and snapped, literally ripping him limb from limb. Coincidentally, that same day, Frank Kraft was cornered after a bank robbery. He got into a shootout with police, and after killing 2, was ultimately caught. And after having been tortured for months by Frank, the town actually decided on a little extra judicial punishment. Frank and Bojo were bound together with a 10-foot piece of rope and left in the Ochup forest.
All right. Well, I would immediately like to use my dark past to try to see if I can get some further questions.
Okay. How exactly does that work?
So I roll plus weird, On a 10 plus, ask 2 questions from the list below. 7 to 9, ask 1, or on a miss, I get a question, but it means I was personally complicit in creating a situation I'm now dealing with.
Interesting. Okay,
So-
go ahead and roll plus weird. Okay, that is a 4. Go ahead and mark experience, and I hope you guys should be a spot on the sheet where you guys should be tracking this.
There is. It's directly below the harm tally in the first column.
Brilliant. Okay, so go ahead and ask your question and tell me how you were involved in making this a bad scene.
Do I know anyone that might be behind this? Perhaps, say, somebody who's waking up these angry spirits?
I would say you probably, like, the person who is behind this, given that you heard about the Horizon Lodge project that is being built out in the forest, you would guess that the closest probable link would be that construction.
Alrighty then.
So what is your hand in making this scene or this situation come to life?
So, unbeknownst to me, I think somebody is involved in waking up angry spirits with their construction projects, and they're doing it with knowledge I taught them.
Interesting. Okay.
They're one of my former students who I tried to teach how to be a better monster hunter, and they've gone dark.
Okay. I like that. So there's some other party which is privy to this, which activated it, that you taught.
Yeah.
Okay. So museum tour over. What would you two like to do now?
Head back to the campsite.
Okay. So you pile into the pickup and head towards the campsite. We're going to jump back to Jillian and Christopher, because as you are heading back to the campsite as well, something interesting happens. Right as you are heading in at the edge of town, as you pass the ranger station, you kind of you turn onto the main drag, and you can see that there are several cars pulled like in the middle of the street, and there appears to be like an enormous bear who is translucent and red, clawing at one of the doors. And so there's 2 cars kind of parked together, and people inside very clearly scared. And off to the side, like kind of inside a diner, like with a camera, there's a guy who's actually sitting there recording it. As you come across the scene, what do you two do?